I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go. I brought the money like the lawyer said to do. It won't replace all the heartaches I've caused you. It won't take place of loving you, I know. I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go.
Oh, YouTube, I gotta love you. Sorry about the late start. For some reason, YouTube decided to delete my connection, and I had to set it all up again. Haven't had to do that in 2 years. Okay, so welcome back to the channel Grand Colombia, and welcome to Coffee Time Live. Longest running show on this channel. I think we're going on 3 years. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? Well, first of all, the weather. It's been gorgeous. Not too hot, never gets too cold. Of course, it rains every day, but like yesterday, I think the first rain was around 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night. I don't care. It's just been awesome. Right now, it's a little overcast. It's sunny, but a little overcast, which is nice. Keeps kind of those direct rays from burning the skin off you. And it's in the 70s, but it's been perfect. Okay, so first of all, I want to talk about video I put out yesterday. First time I ever did a reaction video. I usually don't pay a lot of attention to other YouTubers, but a few were pointed out to me, and it's funny because I watched the video with her sobbing, that one, and right after I looked at another one that was recommended, and they actually compared. Now, the second one, he didn't do it intentionally. He was just walking around and showing things, but you saw these people being helpful in that video. So I clipped a few out. And, you know, so then I played hers, and then I showed how people really are in Colombia. And that's the, you know, that's really the message. So what do we got here? Rob, good morning from Fort Lauderdale. How you doing? Yuka, greetings, thank you, and there is that. So thank you before we even started. And Robert, greetings from Austin, Texas, thank you very much. Tracy, how you doing? Ontario, Canada, in my neck of the woods. Craig, look at those beans. Yeah, and Craig, I think you told me at least one of those other YouTubers. I think you might have told me both of them. Steve Frazier, buenos dias. The old man's surgery went well in the back, and he's walking again. Awesome. It's good to know. That was a good video reaction. Thank you. It was probably a little drawn out, but it's how I tend to do things. I tend to over-explain. And even then, I find it's not enough when I get comments on things. Mike, how you doing? Loud and clear. Awesome. Yeah, I got things pretty dialed in. If it weren't for YouTube throwing me a last-minute curve. Jeff, good morning from Lockdown City, Canada. Canada's still doing lockdowns? Why? I mean, you got everybody and their brother talking about how this is a very mild, nobody's really having big issues over it. I don't know. Nothing makes sense anymore. Okay, so today I've stolen some clips from another YouTuber. I just thought you might get a kick out of it. Now, I've talked about this girl, this crazy girl, this Maya, for a few times now, but I'm always asking, what are the new requirements? And she did one that just kind of nailed it. And so I clipped it out. I think it's like almost 2 minutes long, but I think you might get a smile out of it. So let's take a look.
In this video, you are going to find all the information that you need to enter Colombia 2022. By the way, guys, Happy New Year! So far, I want to give you an update about the requirements to enter Colombia because I know you want to come and you want all the information. I have to say, guys, that once you enter Colombia, you're not going to have any problems. There are not restrictions in Colombia. All the restrictions are just to enter Colombia. Maya, do I need a PCR? 5 cases. I'm going to make this very easy because, I don't know, I know the information have to be easy, Maya. So pay attention. Let's say that you are coming to Colombia, you are fully vaccinated, you have to show your vaccination card. It can be a digital one and also it can be a physical one. So let's say that you are fully vaccinated and you took your last shot 14 days before the flight. Listen up, in that case, you're not going to need a PCR, a negative test. You're going to be all good enough. Let's think about the second case. Let's say that you are fully vaccinated, but you took your last shot, let's say with less than 14 days before you fly. In that case, guys, listen up, you are going to need to show a negative PCR. The third one, let's say that you only have 1 dose of the vaccine, you know. Let's say that you are just missing one. In that case, you are going to need to show again a negative PCR. So all these 3 cases apply for Colombians, diplomatics, foreigners who are resident, already have the Colombian resident here, and foreigners who are just visiting us. Maya, what the hell? I want to go to Colombia, but I am not vaccinated. But guys, the government said that you guys are not allowed to enter the country if you are not vaccinated. I know you may be saying, oh, come on, the Colombian government is a pain in the ass with all these requirements. I know, but it is what it is, guys.
It's got to put a smile on your face. She just cracks me up. Yeah, way too much over the top energy for me, but it's pretty awesome. Okay, I just that explains why I wasn't getting some of these things through here, because YouTube had messed with the connections. But I just I want to acknowledge a couple contributions that just showing up here. Rick, thank you very much. You've got a message there. Thank for yesterday's topic. I'm sorry for that lady's experience. Common sense is necessary. Wherever you travel, even in the U.S., only carry cash needed for that day. Thanks again. You're welcome. And we can talk about that if you guys want to. And Robert, thank you. I appreciate that. And we've got Victor. Thank you. No jab. Caught COVID less than a cold. Yeah. It was more than a cold for me, but it wasn't more than a pretty good flu. But I haven't, I caught the first one April of 2020. And then I got the Delta one in April of last year. So I'll probably get this one going around in a couple months, right? Just to keep it all. But, none of them were threatening. And here I am, I'm an old fart with lung problems. And I was a prime candidate to have issues. I was so freaked out over the first one, before I got it. I was, hey, we didn't know, right? So, I'm not going out. I'm sterilizing everything. When I did go out, I didn't touch anything. I took Kleenexes with me, and there was hardly anybody on the street because we had lockdowns, but you could go out for certain things. Well, I had to go to the ATM. I mean, you got to have money. So I go down the street, I get to the ATM, I use a Kleenex to open the door. I go in and then I put a Kleenex over the number pad, and I'm throwing these away, and I'm being real careful. When I get back to the apartment, I strip all my clothes off, doing them inside out, so I don't even touch them. And I put them in the washing machine. I jump in the shower, and I'm scrubbing myself down. and the thing is, we all actually know you can't stop a virus. And so I ended up with that was my first COVID. After that, it was, oh, to hell with it. Yeah, it's like, you know. Okay. Robert, I get a kick out of her. Phil, good morning from LA. Good morning, Phil. Come on, you just want to show the girl. No, I mean, she, every week, you know, you're here pretty much every week. People are saying, what are the latest requirements? And she just did that. And I figured rather than me just repeating it, hers was, it kind of cracked me up. So I clipped out those requirements and showed you. You know, plus, she's worth a watch. She's interesting. Mike, how you doing, Mike? Another beautiful day. It is, isn't it? Now, Mike, he's the guy that's living down in the south. My phone is blowing up. What the heck is going on? Oh. It's telling me about all those contributions that came in. It's like a busy day, I guess. Yeah, Mike's got that apartment down in the south. And Mike, we gotta do maybe next week. Mike has been, I don't know, it seems 3-4 trips to the dentist. He had wisdom teeth or something. And he also got new eyeglasses. So I think it would be good, because these are questions that come up a lot. Maybe get him on Coffee Time next week and do a interview kind of format. What's it look like? Something like that. And we can put him over on the other side.
In this video, you are going to find all the information that you need to enter Colombia.
Sorry about that. And we could put big thumb, little buttons. And, you know, maybe he can tell us about his experience of the dentist, the prices, and things like that, if you guys are interested. Howard, thank you. Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. I don't know if did it come up here? I don't have any sound. And so the thing that tells me if that went up or not, I don't know. Whoops. Okay. What else we got? Now, I told you guys about the apartment, Emil's apartment. Emil and his wife, they have an apartment here, but they're out of the country. And now they're going to be out even longer. It's sometime in June before they return. Therefore, it's available. Now, 3 or 4 people contacted me, and so I just refer them over to them. If you're interested in it, you can email me. Here we go. You can email me, and I'll hook you guys up. I don't want to be the middleman, but I'll hook you up directly, and you guys can sort it out. But let me show you that apartment again. And we'll say he's a sponsor of today's video because he paid me. Or he sent a pretty hefty donation, and I would run it anyway. I always do, because actually it helps you guys. It's really a bargain. So check it out. So there's that. And see, we got, I think it's got a reservation this month. There's one that just came through for May. There's another one in March. And there was somebody talking about possibly renting it for 1 or 2 months. And I don't know because I'm not in the middle, but I do pass that on. So again, if you're interested, send your phone number to this email, and then I'll give it to him and get you guys hooked up. Okay, and I can give you his What's Up number if you email me. And what else we got? Oh, I got to mention it again because, you know, I get emails, messages, or comments about topics, even though I've talked about them to death. I'll still acknowledge. And this one is the website. It's backwards. GrandColumbia.live. That's our website. And the reason I bring it up is, what's wrong? Did you get rid of your website? It was down for a couple days. No, I changed the service that I was using. It wasn't a secure site, which was problematic because these days you pretty much have to secure them, even though there was no nothing. It was just information, because if you click on a link to send a contribution, for example, it would go off to a secure site, basically the bank site. So there wasn't any need for it, but it turned out these days you have to have it for other things, whether you need it or not. And they wanted a ridiculous amount of money for it, so I went to a different service, and it's actually included. The package is more, but overall it's a lot less money. So that's why the site was down, but everything is on that site. Information about relocation. People like to make Skype calls to me. How much does that cost? What do I do? That's in there. Every video I've done. This right now on that site is streaming live. So if you go to the site and click on the tab at the top, videos on your phone, it's a different menu that opens up. And so you can see it live. So if you say, well, what service are you on? If for YouTube, you drop YouTube or whatever, it's like, well, just go there. Because no matter what service I'm on, it'll show up there. The blog, all kinds of stuff. So that's the deal on the website. And let's see. Last thing I should mention before we get to Q&A is go Bills, before I forget. All right. It's Q&A time. It's time to start asking your questions. Remember, 4 question marks first, then ask the question. Okay, well, let's see. We got Anonymous. Thank you, Mr. Anonymous. I appreciate it. Tommy, it's very good value for that apartment. It is. I mean, the location is great. It's the furnishings. Well, here's the thing. It's not furnished as a place to rent, or it's not furnished like an Airbnb. This is their place. It just so happens they're out of the country and can't return for a while. So, you know, the bed is everything is brand new. They got it all set up and then had to leave. It's got a washing machine in there. It's everything you could want. You know, the dishes, and it's really, really done up nice. So, you know, if you do go there, take real good care of it, because this isn't some corporate place that you can trash. I mean, this is their personal, personal place. Now, they do, I believe, have Alejandra that kind of looks out for it, meets you and gives you the keys. She'll even clean the place if you want her to do that, and she'll check it out before you go. So they've got somebody reliable to kind of keep an eye on it. Judy, good morning. Lauren and all, good morning, Judy. Sorry, I skipped over you there, Judy, but you know, I saw that contribution jump right out at me. Of course, so I had to acknowledge that. Okay, so Q&A time. We're right on time. We don't even have to rush today. Take as long as you want because the Bills game's at 4 o'clock. All right, so do we have any questions today? You know, usually once it gets going, like last week, I think we went half an hour long, but you know, whenever I can, if you guys have reasonable questions, you know, I'll try to hang in there for you. Although we should try to keep this close to an hour and try not to go over it too much. Okay, one of the things is, if you're doing videos, you kind of want people to watch them, right? And so if the longer a video is, the less likely people will take the time to watch it. So there's that. Since YouTube doesn't pay me anything, there's no consideration as far as that goes, though. Tracy, are you still considering a journey to Salamina? Absolutely. I was there in late September, just far enough from Manizales to limit the tourist crowd. Enjoyed the town. Yeah, for my own personal reasons, it's a place that I've always wanted to go. There's history involved. You mentioned Manizales. As a matter of fact, the people that first founded Manizales, and that's a crazy story about what they went through climbing those mountains. They actually were from Salamina or staged in Salamina. How cold can it get in Armenia, and what months are the coldest? The temperature is within a handful of degrees year round. So that doesn't vary that much. So the time of year doesn't really matter. The only thing that really affects temperature is direct sun in the afternoon. So if it's overcast and you're out walking around, it feels cool because you got the breeze going on, you know, and it's fine. But if you hit a day in the afternoon where the clouds part and there's nothing but sun, you're out walking in it, well, the temperature will go up into the low 80s. I think the highest ever was something like 86 degrees. It just doesn't get that hot. But because it's direct sun, you know, we're practically on the equator, it's actually dangerous for you. As far as how cold does it get, 60s. So the temperature doesn't vary that much. You'll be in the 60s to 70s mostly. So you might get a 15-degree swing between night and day, possibly. You know, where I'm from in upstate New York, it's, you know, you can have a minus 20, and then in the summer it can be 105. You know, so you got 120, 130 degree swing there throughout the year. Here, you got a 10 or 15 degree swing throughout the year. And it's funny because when you're in a place where people have lived their whole life without that variation of degrees, they're hypersensitive to even the smallest change. Like, I've been with friends that on one day it'll be 78 degrees and it's awesome. And then on another day it'll be 76 degrees and they think they're freezing. I mean, I can't tell the difference between the two because of all my life I've had all these massive swings, but they're here all the time and they're very sensitive to it. Taxis are good sources, as you said in the video. Aren't some in Bogota sketchy with reputation? Well, here's the thing about taxis, and again, I do repeat myself because different people ask different questions. First of all, Uber is not legal in Colombia. And I know people in Medellin, the first thing they want to do, call an Uber. It's cheaper, it's better, it's safer. And it's not any of those. Now, you do have private people doing similar to Uber. For example, I've got a friend here who lives in the South, comes to visit me once in a while, and she hires the local, quote, Uber, and she pays 20,000 pesos to get here. Her sister came to visit me the other day, and she paid 11,000, but she came in a taxi. You know, so but here's the real problem. Taxis are registered, they're licensed, they have meters, and those meters are inspected. So you have a sense of security there. And when you get in a taxi, if you're a little paranoid, take out your cell phone and snap a picture of the registration of the taxi. It's not a bad idea if you're carrying things, because sometimes you forget something in the taxi, you snap a picture of the registration, you can track your stuff down. But the so-called Ubers have no license. There's no registration. Say, well, I can track them through the, through the app. Well, tell me how good that's going to be if, let's say, they rip you off for a couple $100 or they set you up for a crime. How easy is it for them to drop off that app? It's how are you going to follow up? You don't have any actual recourse. You think you do, but you don't. People say, well, in the United States, but this isn't the United States. And you're dealing with an organization that's not even legally operating. So it just doesn't make sense to me. You're going to run into a taxi every once in a while, although I can't remember the last time I ran into what we'll call a sketchy or a problem taxi. Because it's their livelihood and they don't want to jeopardize it, and they put all this money into the car and all the things that they have to do. Here in Armenia, they're just overly polite, but throughout the country, they're protective of that's their job, and so being a scumbag isn't really the thing. About the worst you'll run into is in some cities you'll find unscrupulous taxis that don't want to return the change. They'll tell you, well, I don't have any change, and they're trying to pocket 5,000 or 10,000 pesos or something. Well, it's kind of on you, because if you're in a place that you're not familiar with, you should always carry a pocket full of 2,000, 5,000 pesos, to pay for those taxis. If you're whipping out, 50,000 peso in a place that you don't know and you don't know how they're going to be, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to, fall for that kind of thing. So it's proper planning. But I'll put my faith in the taxis far more than other situations. Okay, I'm getting asked this every week. Hugo, have you seen substantial increase in the price of goods and services lately? No. Now, there are increases. For example, there's an annual increase for the bus, and just like every year, it went up another 100 pesos. It's been doing that as long as I've been coming to Colombia. The taxis, actually, I'm not sure, but they had been eked up. I mean, a couple years ago, they were at 4,500 for the minimum. They're at 4,700 for the minimum now. I haven't been in a taxi in the new year. So it's probably 48, but that's typical. I mentioned before, eggs had gone up. The eggs I buy were at 6,500 for a dozen. I buy them, that particular one. I never get any broken ones. They're extra large, so I can eat one instead of two. And they're always washed. They're clean. So I like this particular brand. So they're 6,500. I could do less, but I prefer the brand. They're up now to 7,500. So they've gone up 1,000 pesos. So there's things, and it's because it hasn't been all that drastic, it's difficult to tell if it's the normal increases that you get. I think it's a mixture. I think it's some of the normal increases and some, some of the stuff that's been going on. But are we getting hit like the USA? Absolutely nothing like that. There's nothing here that's 25, 40% increases that I'm aware of. I had to change my runt from passport to cedula. Delayed buying my two trucks. What do you know about runt? I'm only part-time, so this would be my first year for taxes. Your runt is the vehicle registration, basically. It's your licensing, personal licensing, vehicle registration. I'm not quite sure what you're asking me, but send me an email. When it comes to taxes, I really avoid talking about taxes on here. One, people want to argue about it. Well, different situations. I will tell you this, that there's a lot of people that are told they have to pay taxes, won't have to. In your case, I do believe your situation, because you have basically a business and all, I think you're primed for that. But for most people, they really don't have to. But here's one of the problems is you're going to go, let me talk to a tax accountant. Well, you could talk to 5 of them and 4 of them will tell you that you have to and 1 will tell you you don't. And it's because they're not the most scrupulous of profession, and they get a cut. And so for them to actually represent you, it kind of doesn't work that way. It's the more you pay, the better it is for them. So you want to take that into account. Is there a way to look up prescription drug prices in Colombia? Yes. Or do you have to go to the pharmacy in person? Yeah, Rob actually, I had a couple medications he wanted to know about, and I just went into my Wrappy app and clicked on pharmacy, and I entered in the Spanish generic term, and all the different pharmacies came up with the offered prices and different configurations. Like ivermectin, you can get it either as a liquid or as a pill, which that's typically subscribed here if you test positive. That's throughout. So yeah, it's real simple to do that. This is not a question, but I'd be interested in hearing about Mike's visit to the dentist. Yeah, if Mike's up to it, I wanna do a part of coffee time, have him come on and talk about that. I think people have questions. Thank you for sharing more on the taxi situation. You're welcome. It's having lived here before and being here for over 3 years now, and prior to that, 3 years in Ecuador, which gives me some perspective. I have a lot of faith in the taxis here. Now, that doesn't mean I'm stupid. It's like you're always cautious. You're going to be cautious anywhere you go, even, sometimes even in your own hometown. But I just had such help, assistance, goodwill from taxi drivers that, it's like I said in that video, it's a resource you don't want to ignore. Uber versus taxi. Yeah, I mean, I see all the time in Facebook on the messaging sites where people are saying, oh, you're crazy to take a taxi, take an Uber. And there's a thing that goes on where in Bogota and in Medellin, where you call up and get an Uber that shows up, and he contacts his criminal buddies to notify them that you're going to go to such and such, and you got nice clothes, and you're putting money from the ATM in your pocket, or whatever it is. And he contacts his buddies, so you get out of the Uber, he drives away, and next thing you know, you're a victim of a crime. And it was set up by your friendly neighborhood Uber. Like I say, taxis, they're looking at the long game. You know, like I said, they bought the car, the meter. So do they really want to jeopardize their business, their respectability? You know, for something, actually, no, they choose not to get some big windfall, but then, you know, destroy their life. They, you know, they're kind of straight and narrow guys. And well, anyway, beating a dead horse there, I think. Good morning from Northern California. Good morning, George. You made a comment somewhere on something. I don't remember what it was, but it kind of, at the time, it stood out to me. Whatever that comment was, I appreciated that comment. If you commented on a video in the last couple of days, whatever you said, I thank you for it. Okay. What else we got? Any more questions? Come on, we got more horses we can beat to death. No, we got to beat the dead horse. Yeah, let's get that right. So we got any other questions? Hate to end it this early. Well, actually, I don't hate it. I mean, it would be kind of cool, but I know there's questions. You know, when I finally end, there's a little delay here. So I'll end the video and then I get a notification that there'll be 2 or 3 comments after I stop the video with questions. And sometimes they're really good questions. But, you know, you send them kind of late, you know, so now's your chance. You know, our views are down today. Oh, something about the channel I want to bring up. Subscriptions and the likes, even though I'm not monetized, those things do affect the channel. Because YouTube likes to hide my stuff, but I've noticed on videos that get a fair amount of comments, all of a sudden they start popping up, and so it does affect viewership. Now, do I get paid for that extra viewership? No, I don't get paid. You guys do contributions, and that's where I get money to do this, but. The whole point of these is to pass along information. And so the more people that watch, the more I'm doing that, and the better I feel about it. How about the Cowboys last night? I have no idea. I assume they must have won. I don't watch them. I don't really watch football generally. Every once in a while, the NFL always does this. They'll put out an entire game compressed down into 8 to 12 minutes of the highlights. And every once in a while, I watch a couple of those that may seem interesting after the fact. But the only game I actually watch of the Bills, and honestly, I'm usually too busy to just kind of sit there. For a Bills game, you know, I'll do it because I've been doing it a good part of my life, but yeah. Although, talk about wasted time. I've got Wrappy, as you know, and I purchased things on Mercado Libre. Well, I got notices, and I delete them. You know, it's like, well, it's Wrappy sent me an email. Well, what do I care? I delete it. Mercado Libre, same thing. But I looked at one with Wrappy, and it turns out that I have a paid subscription to Disney Plus and Star Plus for as long as I have the Wrappy app. Okay, that's kind of cool. So I get it. So I look, and there's not much on there, but I've got it. So when you guys come and you stay here for your couple days, you can watch Disney Plus, you can watch Iron Man or whatever. And so then I get this Mercado Libre, and so instead of deleting it, because I just saw, well, that's something cool, so I open it up. I've got HBO, HBO Max, Comedy Cartoon Network, Warner Brothers, all free. It's all through one app, and it's all free. So now I got all these things free of charge. So sometimes it pays to, look at to at least skim over your emails that you get. All right, I noticed haircuts for men and women are about 25% of USA, but fancy women's hair stuff is only about 35%, 33% lower than USA. It tends to be a little bit more in Manizales than here. Here you can get a haircut for, well, what's pretty typical here is 10,000 pesos. So I think I don't know what it is in the US anymore. And I think there's a wide variety of prices. Like if you go to Canandaigua, New York, you're probably not going to even pay $10. You're probably going to pay $5 or $6. But if you go to San Francisco, you might be paying $40. I don't know, but I think there's a wide variation. And you have some of that here. I do know that some of the higher end places that are spa and women's stuff, they can go and get massages and hair coloring and their nails and all the stuff that they do. It can be kind of pricey, even here in Armenia, but I don't know what it compares to in the US. The women ever wear sweaters or boots in Armenia? I've never seen any female wear boots in town. Sweaters, sure. And you'll see them in winter jackets. It just boggles my mind. Why are they wearing winter jackets? Phil, you almost got me there. Thank you, Phil. I appreciate it. Should Americans living in Colombia keep Medicare even though they pay the healthcare system in Colombia? It's a personal choice. If you're moving here and you plan on living here forever, I don't think it makes sense to keep the $100 and some odd basically just getting thrown down the rabbit hole. But if you do go back, you will have to pay a penalty every month. You're going to have to pay a little bit more every month. Somebody said 10%. I don't know. You're going to pay a little bit more. And you want to sign up on the subscription period versus just signing up anytime throughout the year, because you're going to pay a lot more if you sign up if not during the subscription period. So there's nuances to it, but I canceled mine quite a while ago, and I have no intention of going back. So, personal choice. I think if you plan on living here, it doesn't make sense to keep something and spend money on it when you're never going to use it. Are there must-have apps if living there a month or two visit? I did as in everything, I did a video on apps. Must-have apps, Wrappy. I love my Wrappy. Necky is a good one to have. Well, What's Up, of course. Everybody communicates that way. Facebook Marketplace. Whether you like Facebook or not, I'd open an account just so you have access to Facebook Marketplace. I don't know. Go to the channel on YouTube or in Odyssey, where all my videos are, and do a search of the channel and just put apps and see what comes up. What else we got? After what here to use the term fully vaccinated, here it means 3 shots. It means here it means if it's a Johnson, it's a 1 shot. If it's all the rest of them, it's the first and second shot. It has nothing to do with endless lines of boosters or whatever. There are no shots out there that require 3 to be so-called fully vaccinated. Now, where you are, they might be requiring some kind of booster or something, but they're not here. So as she said, it's the 2, or if it's a Johnson, it's the 1, and that's it. And here, if you're coming in and you only have the first one, then you've got to have a PCR test. But if you've got both of them or one with a Johnson, then you don't need a PCR, except that 14-day window. So if you got it, a week before you came, but not 14 days before, they'll still require a PCR test. And we can talk all day long about whether any of it makes sense or not, but that's neither here nor there. It's how it is. Okay, Cabify. Yeah, there's it depends on where you are. The taxi app here in Armenia is actually Candio. I forget the actual name, but it's something Candio. So if you look for taxi apps and just type in Candio, like you go into the app for your phone and you put in Candio taxi app, and it'll come up. It's like Co-op of Candio or something like that. And that's the best one for here in Armenia. I personally have no need for those. I've got them, but I have no need for them because I live here in this house, but I've got a guard. When I lived in my last couple apartments, I had, guards at the building. And if you want a taxi, you just say, hey, call me a taxi, and they'll call you a taxi. When you're out and around, unless it's 2 o'clock in the morning in some obscure place, and shame on you, you deserve to walk. For the most part, taxis are everywhere, and I never really have a problem with it. So I just don't worry about it. If you're here in an Airbnb, your chances are you're going to have a porter, a guard, or doorman, or whatever you want to. Just ask them, call me a taxi. And if you don't speak Spanish, say, por favor, taxi. You'll know what you're talking about. Okay. So, yeah, there's apps for it. Are they necessary? Not really. I think you'd be kind of cluttering your phone up, but, feel free to get them and use them. I found when I was living in 360, I was using it for a little while, but I found it was actually quicker for me to go down to the porter's desk and have him call me a taxi. That was taking a couple minutes, but in the app, what happens is an assignment comes in, and so they put it out there for all the taxis, and the first one to hit it gets that fare. He might be 15 minutes away from you, and there's another guy right on the doorstep, but the guy on your doorstep didn't hit it fast enough. And so you could be sitting there for somebody across town. I'm not a big fan of the way they do that, and that's kind of why I stopped using them, because why wait 15 minutes when I can have one in 2 or 3? So, for 2 or 3 minutes, it's a good time to establish some rapport with a porter, practice your Spanish, and, and you're not there so long that you get caught up in something, it's like very light conversation. So there's that. All right, what else? We got anything else? How are we doing for time? Well, we'll try to wrap this up within the next 10 minutes. Blackberry juice. Propina for security or doorman. How should you tip? Tip for what? I don't tip. Propina means tip. It's not a thing. If you're in Bogota and Medellin, people there are kind of jaded because tips are pretty much kind of become the thing because people would come and just tip. But it's not a cultural thing in Colombia. And so here, I think if I tried to give them a tip, I'd probably get some weird looks. Again, I've talked about this. If you're in a place where tipping isn't really a thing, then tipping can be kind of insulting. And I've been told this enough. I was told this in places in Ecuador. I've been told, you know, here in Colombia, where tipping, in places where tipping isn't a thing. And of course, I'm always quizzical, and I try to probe things like that. And it's been explained to me that it's just insulting, because what do you think? I get paid for the service I do. You throwing me extra money, do you think I'm in poverty, or do you think that you've got so much money that poor me, I need it? Or, you know, it can be awkward in a place where tipping isn't customary. Now, like I say, in Medellin and Bogota, in the places that you're probably going to go, it's not so much that they necessarily expect it all the time, but if you do it, it's like, okay, that's what they do, they tip. It doesn't mean you're compelled to give them a tip. Here, I wouldn't even think to do it. Now, around Christmas time, that's when, you know, if you've got your particular doorman or something, you give them an envelope with, you know, that's customary pretty much all over the world. George, thank you. Not getting a lot of viewers today, but I'm getting some nice contributions, which you guys must have known that I had a failure of something. It always seems to work that way. The best days of contributions are when something happened and I need it. I just try not to always whine about my equipment stuff, but thank you. Does Wrappy include a tip? That's a great question. When you click on Wrappy, it will automatically come up with 2,000 pesos. Now, understand, I have Wrappy, and they have a subscription service. It's called Prime, and you can pay for the month 18,000 pesos, I think it is. Maybe it's 14. It's not a lot, and it's for the month. But when you pay that subscription, you're not paying fees on the things that come. So you're not paying the Wrappy fee and other things that kind of get waived. That if you don't have Wrappy and you're doing the home delivery, you are paying. So it eliminates those, and I find it saves money. Plus, they've got a cashback thing, which is a pretty substantial cashback. So that's all cool. But when you call it up, you'll see what got subtracted and discounted and whatever. But then it'll have a bar with 2,000, 4,000, 6,000 of tips, and the 2,000 always comes up. Now you can click that off. I've always left it because I'm getting such a discount using Wrappy that it's very often cheaper than if I had actually gone to the location. So I leave it. Also, when you give the review, you have the option for that guy, if he did exceptional service or something, to throw him another tip. And it's a bar, 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, like that. You can select it. I've never done that. So you're not required to tip, but it has that feature. And if you don't want to tip, which is fine, just make sure that that's not selected. Mike, how is Sandy doing? Sandy's doing good. She's been talking to me a fair amount in the last month, although not this past week. And we've done some Skype calls recently about moving to Colombia. She's really kind of fed up with Ecuador. I think the COVID stuff that went on, it's really soured people. Now, she's born and raised in Ecuador, but she wants to come to Colombia. So she's asked me about some information I've sent on to her. So I don't know, but she's doing fine. She's still working her job at the university in the lab. Hello from Coleman. How you doing? Dallas, Texas. Man, these past year or so, you get around more than anybody I know. Michael, howdy, Michael. I liked your reaction video. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, again, I felt kind of bad that it droned on for 26 minutes, but, you know, sometimes I think you know, beating a dead horse or I'm repeating myself, but what are you going to do? I am what I am. Renewing US passports. Does your visa agent service do that? No, they're handling visas. If I need to renew my passport, you go online to the US Embassy, you do all the paperwork there, and then you have to go to the Bogota Embassy to pick it up. Or it can be shipped here. So it's actually set up to where you really can do it all from your computer. But I haven't looked at it in a couple years, so take what I'm saying here with a grain of salt. I think if you have it shipped to you directly, that there's like a pretty good surcharge. And I needed to go to Bogota anyway, so I went to pick mine up. So I don't remember. I do know that, you know, if you want the fat one, I ordered it, paid for it, and never got it. I got the regular one. And that happened to me twice now. My original passport and then the last one I got. Hugo, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Denver, Colorado here. How you doing, Don? Do you think, Mike? I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, honestly. I'm not aware of that relationship or even what Mike you're referring to. Was supposed to move to Colombia last year, but this pandemic ruined those plans, not getting vaccinated. Yeah, it's been kind of a waiting game, and I'm not even anti. I just think it's pointless for something that doesn't work. I mean, did you see, just see in the news that cruise ship had 6,500 people on it. In order to get on there, you had to show proof of complete vaccination, first and second shot. And so 2 weeks out, the entire cruise ship comes down with COVID. I mean, come on. You know, it's when that's the kind of stuff that's going on. What the hell is the point? You know, and the bar keeps changing. They say, well, but you get less sick. Well, I wasn't sick when I had it. I mean, it wasn't that bad anyway. So, you know, I think if you got people that have diabetes and some serious problems, you know, I think in that case, maybe that makes sense. But, you know, I've got a friend in Cali. I've known her since she lived in Ecuador 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now. And she's got a couple daughters. They were actually going to come visit, but they've come down with COVID. But in the case of her daughters, I think they're 14 and 15 now. They've been in videos some years ago. It wouldn't really make sense, because now the gal got COVID. She's the only one that's really very sick, and her daughters are like, you know, well, maybe they're not feeling the best, but they're still doing things, not out, but they're, you know, got all their energy and stuff. So I don't know. It's hard to say. It's the latest 90 Day Bride episode. You from upstate New York? Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch that stuff. I started to say, wasting time. So I got this HBO Max thing, and I'm looking to see what's on there, and I see this thing called Ballers. I'd never heard of it. So I said, oh, what the hell? I'll watch one. I ended up from usually about 9 o'clock at night, I'll watch TV for an hour or two. And I ended up watching it the first until like 2:30 in the morning. And then the next night I watched it again. I went through, I think there are 5 seasons. I watched them all. It's like, this show's really good. This is a good show. It reminded me of Entourage for some reason, but I really enjoyed it. Cruise ships are floating petri dishes to begin with. Yeah, I won't argue with that. Okay. Well, we've run the hour. I think we're out of questions, and I'm back to rambling. So I want to thank you guys. Thank everybody that, helps this channel out. I really appreciate it. And all the other ones that aren't on the live, but they go to the website and they do contributions there. There's people that do monthly subscriptions, $1.99 or, $9.99 or whatever it is. I really appreciate all of it. All of it adds up to what keeps me going. Hopefully Omicron will be the final wave. No, this will go forever. You're still pondering doing a live round on your other channel. I'm looking at it. It can't be on YouTube, so it can't be on the other YouTube channel. They would cancel the channel. And so it might have to be on something like Odyssey, because there's not a lot of them that I can do live on. So I don't know. I'm looking at it, kind of considering it. I'm just at the end of a year and the beginning of a year, every year, I have a lot of work to do with this stuff. And I'm not done yet, but I'm almost done. I'm seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's why we have these incremental increases in quality and ability, over time, because I spend time to do that. Plus you have to research changes, new things that come along, new add-ins for your software. And so I try to take those couple weeks before and after New Year's to focus on that. Okay. All right, we're going to end it here. So thank you all. I'll see you next week, and I'll see if Mike is willing to come on the channel and talk about the dentist. Came in too late to say hi. Love the reaction video. Reese, thank you. Appreciate it. When are you going to get out of that San Francisco town? Okay, I know you love it there. All right. Officially, we're going to end it here. See you guys later.
Oh.